It's the holidays, right? Everyone's having a great time. We're getting ready for 2020. And how are you doing? If you've been through a significant loss, maybe even not that long ago, or maybe a long time ago, maybe not so good. Maybe you feel like a wet blanket and you feel like you need to avoid being in public because you're not fit company. Maybe you're feeling dejected, abandoned, alone, because your friends don't want to spend time with you because you are a wet blanket. And you can't get the energy up to pretend that you're happy, that things are going well. You feel out of sorts. You don't belong. You don't fit in. And the negative feelings go around and around in your head. You're not good enough. Something's wrong with you. You're broken. You're never going to feel better. Nice thoughts, huh? I know the feeling. Worst of all, you feel awful. Your heart literally hurts. That's right. Grief hurts. It's physical. It's not just in your head. It has a physical impact. And so how can you be happy when you hurt? And you start longing for the past. Remember when it used to be. What it used to be before the loss. How much better it was. And of course, our memories always remember the best stuff, don't they? And then after you go back to the memory and start feeling good, then you start feeling bad because it's over. It's not possible anymore. It's done. It's over. So now what? Grief hurts. It's exhausting. And your friends? Where are your friends? They're tired of your grieving. Now you get a year, a free pass for a year, although some families, they don't want to even give you more than 3 months. Hi, thank you for joining. And certainly when you are working for a company, what do they give you? 3 days of bereavement? And then you come back and you're this warm body filling a seat, but can you do anything? Grief is a physical, hi Robbie, thank you for joining. Grief is a physical experience. And you can't just dismiss it. Well, we actually learn to do that. We learn to tamp down our feelings so that we don't feel, so that then we can go on. Only when you tamp down your feelings, you can't feel the good feelings either. You're sort of numb. And maybe you take intoxicants, or you eat food, or you have a drink, or you sit in front of the TV and you watch all these movies, or you binge watch Queen Victoria, or no, you don't want to watch anything where there's happiness because then you feel worse because you don't have the happiness. I've been there. I know what that's like. I know what that's like when you only want to see vengeful, well, I went through a divorce, so I only wanted to see vengeful wives. I did not want to see happy couples. And then what? You run out of TV, you get bored, you get tired. Hi, thank you for joining. Your family starts pressuring you, don't they? Trying to fix you up with a blind date. Oh, great, thank you. And you start to feel angry. You start to feel pushed. And you're just so resistant. Stop, get out of my life. And then you feel depressed, despairing, because you can't show up. And then you feel broken. And then you feel miserable. And it goes on. Yeah, I know. Get off the phone, right? Who wants the Facebook Live? Who wants to hear about this? But some of us do. Some of us understand this. Are you ready for a change? Would you like to have a better Christmas? Would you at least like to be able to look forward to the new year? New Year's are time for second chances, for creating a new life. So take a moment and think, if you had a magic wand and you could create anything you wanted except one thing, and that is to go back to the past, what would you create? Take a moment. Think about that. What would you want? How would you like your life to be? Got a vision? Now check inside. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel excited, energized? Great. Work on that. That's going to take you into the new year. But if it makes you feel depressed, hi there. Thank you. If it makes you feel depressed, if it makes you feel like you're not good enough, if it makes you feel like you're never going to get that, it's never going to happen in your life, then you need to do some work. Now, I have found, as a PhD psychosocial analyst, working with clients for over 20 years, I have found that you cannot just force your brain to think differently when you're feeling horrible. You can't. I mean, you can try, but you can only get away with that, and it's superficial. It's not real. Hi, thank you for joining. You can only do that if you let the feelings go first. That's my experience. You need to let the emotions go first. But what happens is you get resistant. Who wants to feel those feelings? Oh my God, I've been grieving for a whole year. Why would I want to feel those feelings? Well, I actually have a really, really great technique for releasing those feelings that happens very quickly, like 2 minutes or less. You could do that, right? I know you could do that, 2 minutes or less. But you can't, it's hard to do it alone because the mind gets in there, gets in the way, and takes you away because the inner child is afraid. She's afraid to really feel those feelings. And so she comes in with the ideas about, oh, well, you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not valuable. You're not important. You don't matter. You're broken. And these are all these thoughts, these patterns that came from our childhood. Now, the good news is that you can actually use grief as a catalyst for cleaning all that crap out. But you have to know where you're going. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you get caught in the loop of the mind. And, I've been through this. And I can't do it alone. I know how to help other people, but I can't do it for myself. You need somebody to hold the space, to hold you accountable, to move you forward. And then you can release your feelings, you can work on your mind, and then you get to the real key to your second chance. And that is not a new boyfriend, although I've seen many people who say, oh, if I get a new boyfriend, everything will be okay. I get a new relationship. I marry a new guy. When I first started working in hospice as a grief support coach, one of my first phone calls, it was a support call, I talked to a woman who had lost her first husband years ago. And she joined a support group. And she met a man. And he lost his wife. And they fell in love. And they got married. And it was wonderful until he died. And now she had 2 losses to grieve. Because the old one didn't go away. She just avoided it. She just avoided it. She just put it aside. They don't go away. They don't go away because they stay in your body. They stay stuck. And the real problem is that it can actually do damage to your health if you don't deal with these feelings. I'm going to look at my notes. So I understand the feelings, addressing the feelings, they're scary. I had a woman come to me. She had been grieving the loss of her husband for 20 years. 20 years. I'm telling you, I had a meetup. a loss meetup, and she showed up, and she was crying, tears running down her eyes, and she lost her husband 20 years ago. And she came to me because she had moved to the Bay Area to be near her son, and every time she saw her son, she would burst into tears. Well, you can imagine that that made their life pretty difficult. And she had tried a lot of different things. She'd gone to a psychotherapist, she had gone through to a grief coach, a grief counselor. She had done all the usual things. She joined my program, and in the first month, she had stopped the crying. In the first month. Because I showed her how to release those emotions. I taught her how to develop emotional hygiene. This culture does not teach emotional hygiene. It teaches us how to tamp down our feelings so that we can go on and be productive. And once she released those emotions, she was able to start building a life for herself that wasn't completely dependent on her son, that wasn't going to squash her relationship with her son. And that's the key, the passion. Once you deal with the feelings and you deal with the mind, the patterns in your mind, the behaviors that keep on trapping you, once you deal with that, you can actually open to your true purpose. And that's not about getting a new boyfriend. Not that you can't get a new boyfriend or a new relationship, but you need to do the work on yourself first. When you are truly working on your passion, you become way more attractive than somebody who is coming from a place of loss and is desperate for love. I had a friend. She divorced her husband, or he divorced her. Hi, thanks for joining. And she thought, well, they'd only been married for 5 years. What's the big deal? It wasn't working. And she never dealt with the grief. And I saw her go through boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend. I couldn't keep track of them after a while because she didn't deal with the emotions. You need to deal with the feelings. You need to deal with the grief. And it's dealable. It's not that difficult. But you need help. So what else do I have here? So now is the time to envision a new life. Because the new year's coming on. Because if you actually start doing the work, you could maybe actually enjoy the holidays. If you could release some of that grief. Yes, if you release some of that grief energy, you could actually enjoy the holidays. You could actually take a holiday from your grief and misery. You want to know how? Let's have a conversation. A free 15-minute introductory conversation. You can find out how I work, and you can find out what my prices are, and see if we resonate, see if we're a match. There's a link over in, hi, thank you for joining. There's a link over in the comments section, and check it out. The more you wait to deal with your emotions, to deal with your loss, to deal with your grief, to deal with all that stuff that you've been probably hanging around with since childhood, the more it gets entrenched in your body. It's the way the mind works. When you repeat the same thoughts, when you repeat the same misery, it gets wired into your brain. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise the muscle, the stronger it gets. And then you actually have to use more work and effort to break the pattern. I worked with a woman who was 80 years old. She came to me, and she had grieved the loss of her husband 60 years ago, and it had trashed her relationship with her children and her grandchildren. And she came to me because she was looking, she was getting towards the end of her life, and she wanted to clean this up. And we did that. So I had mentioned this before, and that is that loss can be a catalyst for transformation. You don't have to see it as something, an illness to get over. It's actually a source, a reservoir of huge power. And that's what I do. I use that. Everything that shows up, I use. Resistance, no problem. That's the string we pull on to release all the trapped emotions. And when you release those trapped emotions, when you release that energy, you have such momentum that you can really propel your life forward. And that's what I do. It's not about just getting over, stopping feeling bad. It's saying, yes, let's use this loss as a guiding light. Let's use this loss as a direction, as a way to understand what it is that you really need to do. Because I believe that there are no accidents, that everything has meaning. Everything has a way of telling you what you need to do next. Sometimes the loss is actually giving you the skills, the knowledge, and the tools you need to do what you're meant to do in this world. It's kind of a different concept. But when that happens, oh my God, it makes that loss worth all the pain. So what are you going to do? Are you going to step up? Are you going to take action? 80% of success is showing up. Are you ready to show up? Are you ready to change your life? Are you ready to enjoy the holidays? I'm here for you if you want it. You have a great weekend. Be brilliant, and bye for now.